Thank you so much, Matt, and thank you so much, Paula. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kubernetes Community Days UK. I'm Cheryl Hung, and honestly, I am more excited about this talk than probably any I've given in the last year. And the reason for that is that it's been a long time since I've spoken completely freely. I'm no longer at CNCF, and I'm not speaking on behalf of Apple either, who I joined last week. So today I am just Cheryl speaking purely on behalf of Cheryl. I don't even have any slides, so I'm just going to talk straight to you. First of all, today I'm not going to talk to you about why you should go cloud native or anything like that. For one thing, since you're here, I assume you already know about cloud native. Secondly, as Matt and Paula just said, you have 2 entire days of expert speakers who are going to tell you all about the latest and greatest in cloud native. So instead, I want to talk to you about 3 things that I learned working in an open source foundation that changed how I think. So what made my experience different to most jobs? First of all, CNCF, or rather the parent organization, the Linux Foundation, is legally a non-profit. Of course, they're selling membership, they're selling tickets to events and so on, but there's no shareholders and profit was not the priority. In fact, when I was first interviewing there, I was told it is the closest thing that you'll find to public service in tech. And that makes it very different to how most companies think, because most companies need to focus on making a profit. So I have 3 messages. Here's the 3 messages that I learned. Number 1, after CNCF, you could be. Number 2, failure is an option. Number 3, treat your career like a portfolio. So the first one, this first story comes from when I was interviewing to join CNCF. And I was sitting here in my kitchen, waiting for my telephone interview, feeling a bit nervous, butterflies in the stomach, watching the minutes count down until the phone rang. So I pick up and I say, "Hi, this is Cheryl." And this voice booms back at me, "Hi, Cheryl. I'm Dan Kahn, Executive Director at CNCF. And after you leave CNCF, you could be Executive Director of your own foundation, or you could found your own company, or you could go into VC." And I was like, oh, hold on, wait a second. I thought I was supposed to be persuading you that I would be good enough to do this job. I've never been to a job interview where the first thing that the interviewer said is, "After you're done with this job." But working with Dan, I realized that is exactly how he thought all of the time. He was never about, "Are you good enough to do this thing today?" He always thought, "How could I set you up in the future so that in the future you'll have even more opportunities to do those things that you want and to do the things that you can't do now?" And I try and take that and apply that to all of my interactions. When you have some success, think about how you can share and how you can pass on those opportunities, and especially to underrepresented groups. As a minority in tech, I'm suspicious towards organizations who proclaim how diverse and inclusive they are. And what's made the biggest difference to my career is individuals who say, "I'm going to take a chance on you because I believe you're capable of doing something, even if you've never done it before." And I feel very privileged to be able to do that for others. The opposite mindset, and probably the worst managerial advice I ever received, is as a manager, just push work onto other people. In other words, managing people is just about pushing work, getting rid of work you don't want to do yourself, forcing other people to do it. It creates a lot of resentment, and it particularly doesn't work in open source, where people don't report to you. So instead, think about, how do I set you up? How can I set you up for the future? So that's after CNCF you could be. The second lesson, failure is an option. This comes from probably a month after I joined CNCF. And I was trying to figure out what I was doing there and what I should be working on. I talked to a lot of different people, came up with a list of maybe a dozen ideas that I could work on. And then I pitched them back to Dan during those during a one-to-one. He listened to me very carefully and then simply told me, failure is an option. In other words, there's no point agonizing over the list and figuring out what things are perfect, because the only way to find out is to try a lot of different things and get comfortable with some number of those failing. I certainly had my failures within CNCF, but some of the things that I launched became hugely successful. And the truth is, no one remembers the failures. Even I don't remember them anymore. And I think this relates to scarcity versus abundance mindset. If you think resources are scarce and finite and failure is not an option, then you'll never do anything unless it directly ties back to your own goals. And then you'll only do those things as cheaply as you possibly can. Instead, a mindset of abundance says you can always find something to share. Share your advice, share your experience, invite someone to a community that you're part of, to an opportunity that you found, or just share a bit of fun. Failure is an option, because only when you're comfortable with failure can you be a leader, not a perpetual follower. This brings me to my third story. My third story is treat your career like a portfolio. This is a few years down the line. I was becoming more established within the open source community. I was receiving more outside invitations for paid speaking engagements and to advise startups. And I asked Chris Anchik, who's the CTO of CNCF, is it okay for me to do work outside of CNCF? And he told me, treat your career like a portfolio. In other words, diversify, diversify, diversify. None of us would sell everything we own to buy Tesla or Bitcoin. And yet in a company, we're usually forced to devote 100% of our work time to that one company. So how do you square those two things? My answer to that has been community, because the more people that you know, the more opportunities that you'll find over time. Treat your career like a portfolio, diversify your network, meet new people constantly, and you'll find those opportunities that you would never have known about yourself. So here are those 3 lessons that I learned from CNCF. After CNCF, you could be set people up for future success. Number 2, failure is an option. Get comfortable with failure so you can try new things without fear. Number 3, treat your career like a portfolio. Diversify, meet lots of people outside your current team or your organization so you can discover those hidden opportunities. And since you're already at Kubernetes Community Days UK, this is the perfect time to try those 3 things out. Think about what advice or opportunities you can share. Reach out on Slack to the people that you don't know, or reach out to me. I'm on Twitter or Cheryl, and get over that fear of embarrassment, because failure is an option. Thank you so much. I hope you found this interesting. Enjoy the rest of Kubernetes Community Days UK. And I'm going to hand back over to Matt and to Paula.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was fantastic. I think that's a brilliant choice and really thought-provoking. Have you actually started your new job yet?
I have. This is my 2nd week.
Awesome, brilliant. Well, I mean, it's a big loss to the CNCF community, but good luck to you in all of your future endeavors. It's been an absolute pleasure working on events and things with you over the last few years.
Likewise, and one of the things that I really value about community is people are people, just because I'm going to a different company doesn't mean that I'm disappearing forever. So I've loved working with this community, and I fully intend to keep working with it as long as I possibly can.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully you're not too busy today to hang around and catch some of the fantastic speakers we've got coming up. And thank you again for joining us and for opening the show.